brothers and the occasional sister. Welcome to the Broadsheet Club. This month we're doing throwback stories. And this throwback story today takes place in Europe in 1991. To lead up to it though, I need to talk a little bit about my life to this point. I was born in Nelson Hospital. My father moved to Abel Tasman National Park where he was a ranger with me and my two siblings, my brother and my sister and my mum. I lived there for 2 years. Didn't go to school because there was no school. Then moved to Wainui. Went to my first school. Actually my second school. My first school was Henley School for 6 months when I was 5 years old, but that was short-lived. Then we moved to Fielder National Park where my father was a ranger. My parents broke up when I was 10. My mother moved to the city, leaving my father in Fieldland. And then by the age of 15 I just had enough of the city and I moved away. And I came back to this area. Mostly lived in the bush, the Abel Tasman National Park, which I knew as a child. I built a hut down by the mouth of the Motueka River after I'd been evicted from living under the bridge, which I had been for weeks. I travelled around for a long time, eventually found my way, and you've heard some of those stories based in the 80s. It's now 1991, and I'm a guy that's got no education at all, really. The only thing I got was school cert art. That's the only thing I have on a piece of paper, and not even a very good mark at that, to be honest. I want to be a musician. I want to make my money playing music. But up until now, I've only done menial task jobs. I've worked in kiwi fruit and te puki. Picked tobacco in Motueka, apples, pears. I've done all the seasonal work. I've worked in all the factories, sea lords and tallies. I've worked on sheep stations, cattle, dairy farms, forestry, swing off chainsaws. You name it, I've done it. But I'm just a hand, so I'm always on a minimum wage. But I love music, and I love writing songs. I consider myself more a songwriter than a musician because I'm not a very good musician. So here I am now, it's 1991, and I'm in Frankfurt. I've just come back from Baden, where I've had a phone call, and this phone call was pivotal. Tongue twister. Am I saying that right? I don't know. Doesn't matter, you know what I mean. In my life, it was my friend Stu calling me, saying, hey, I've just discovered this place where we can play music and get paid. It's an Irish pub circuit. I'm in St. Ingbert. So that's where I'm heading to. This is where life changes completely for me. But it didn't come without its hardship. I'm on a train. Before I go to Frankfurt, I decide I'll head to Fulda just to do some exploring, because I've got some time before I meet my friend Stu. So I jump on a train and head to Fulda. Now, I'd met this guy at the train station and he'd given me a tab of acid. Now, taking drugs is a stupid ass thing to do if you're travelling. And at the age of 27, I should have known better. But I was thinking to myself, well, I'm a single man, I don't have any responsibilities, why don't I just experience something different? I had taken a few drugs, but as far as acid goes, it wasn't something like I was really experienced at taking. I had a little bit here and there, but this time I had it in Sweden, and that's a story for another day. But I hadn't really done that much experimentation, and he'd given me this, what he called was a blue star. I put it on my tongue, it was a bit of blotter paper, I guess you could say. And nothing happened. We were sitting in this cafe, and I'd paid for it. I said, bro, nothing's happened. He said, it'll come. And I was just about to give up. We're sitting there in this cafe, and next minute he smiled, and as he smiled, his whole face just kept on going up like a big clown. And I went, whoa, oh. And he says, it's happening, isn't it? I said, yeah, man, it's really happening. And he said, whatever you think of, make it positive. So everything I try to think of, I try to keep it positive. The waitress came up asking if we'd like to have anything with our coffee, and I said, I'd like some banana cake, please. She said, we don't have banana cake. And I said, can I have some carrot cake, please? She said, we could do that. This is in German too, so I'm speaking half English, half German. I don't have much German. She comes back with a carrot cake, and I'm watching this carrot cake on my plate, and I'm looking at this carrot cake, and slowly I'm seeing these little holes that appear, and these tiny little mice, like miniature mice, like a mouse is that big, these mice are that big, but these mice they're dressed up, and they're coming out of the holes in the carrot cake every time I'm looking at it. I'm going, bro, we can't eat this, it's got animals inside it. And he goes, no, bro, it's just the acid. And I'm like imagining these little things pop out and they're disappearing. And then I turn around to talk to him, and his face is now all long. It's like one of those apps you get on TikTok or Snapchat, but it's real life, and his lips are like a fish. And it's like, oh, everything's bendy. And I'm trying to have good positive thoughts. And he's saying, just go with it, bro. This trip was out of the park. I started to eat the carrot cake, and I thought, oh, that's good. That's good. It's nothing live in there. I'm just imagining it. I knew I was imagining it because my brain was still working fine, but I was seeing shit that wasn't there. I was hallucinating. As I ate this more carrot cake, I started to feel like that I was getting really, really fat. My stomach felt more bigger than usual, and I was scared that I was going to blow up like a balloon. In reality, all I had was a bit of gas, and all I had to do was do a fart and relieve myself, but I was afraid that I would pop if I farted, so I was sitting there holding this fart and we walked outside after having our cake and our coffee, and things just got really bendy outside. It was crazy, and I actually said, bro, I just want to play music. I want to go into this space and enjoy it. He said, fine, man. So I went down to an arcade. It was about midday. I was in this arcade. I was still tripping off my face, and I started playing some blues. Now, normally, when you're playing in a public place and you're playing blues, normally you don't get a big following. You don't get a huge lot of people. Generally, it's not a real popular music. But unbeknown to me, a blues folk group that also had some jazz musicians in it, I found out later, they came, and one of them had a harmonica in his pocket, and I play harmonica, and I was playing this 12-bar blues. The next minute, this guy starts playing harmonica to my... This is what always happens to me. I always seem to attract other musicians. I think I have this thing where people feel like there's no fear, but I'm sort of like still pretty bendy after this Blue Star acid I've just dropped. So I'm playing this, and this guy's playing some pretty okay, I'm not going to say out of the park, fantastic, amazing, wild, mind-bending harmonica. It was pretty average, to be honest. He wasn't what I would class professional, but it was okay. He started playing, and now I noticed a woman at the back of the group, and there's a lot of musicians in this group, and so they're all watching me, which is rare because it's not a real popular music. I didn't know that they were musicians getting into this, but they were all watching me. And there's a woman at the back of the group who's only got one leg, and I'm thinking to myself, am I just imagining that, or has she really got one leg? And she's got a cello, and she's using the cello like a crutch to walk. She's walking along with the one leg, and she's got this thing, and she's got it beside her, and there's no leg on that side, and she's using it, and she walks, and she's smiling at me. She's got long auburn hair and some spots of freckles on her face, and quite plain looking, but nice smile. And she's got this one leg, and I'm thinking, fuck, I'm just tripping. She hasn't really got one leg. I better just think she's got two legs and stop making that up in my head. So I'm playing a bit over, and then I get the bright idea it would be really cool for her to play the cello with the blues. And I have played with cello players before. That's another story for another day. I will get to that one, because I did play in a band called the Sexual Monsters, and Verena played cello in that, and it was a crazy band. That's like 5 years ahead of this. Going back, I said, do you want to join me? She says, oh, I don't have a seat. I have to have a seat to play in. And I said, you could just stand, and everyone's like looking at me. Well, maybe she can't stand, bro. She's only got one leg. And I turned the harmonica player, and I said, has she only got one leg? And he goes, yeah, man, she's only got one leg. I was like, oh, shit, she really has got one leg. I just thought I imagined that. She really has. Long story short is, when she left using her cello as a crutch, I was in this deep sort of meaningful thinking brain on tripping on acid, and I thought to myself, you know, when something in your life comes along and challenges the hell out of you, what you've got to do is you've got to turn around and make it into a feature. And here's this woman, she's got to carry this big ass instrument, and cello's, I think it's the next biggest string instrument going to next is a double bass. It's pretty big. And here she is using her instrument as a crutch. It doubles up. And I think that's what we have to do with everything in our lives, is when you've got something that comes along and stuffs you up, make something good out of it. Anyway, that was, at my time of thinking, that was a really profound thought. Looking back now and telling you guys, it seems pretty straightforward, but then I thought I just discovered all the problems of the world, because acid does it. I might have had a wee smoke or something too, come to think of it. Fulda was a non-event, got on a train and headed to St. Ingbert. This is where everything just went pow. But I had one really disturbing event on the train. This is a part of the video which, if you're a sensitive person, fast forward about 2 or 3 minutes, because you don't really want to listen to this part. And that is a warning, because I don't normally talk about these things, but I do feel compelled to share it because it is part of my journey. So this was during the time of Desert Storm. Guys were going in and they were searching for weapons of mass destruction, which I don't think they actually ever found. So I met these Americans that just come out of doing a duty, and they come out and they're all like hyped on killing people and stuff. They were young and they were strong and fit, and I'm this weedy, out-of-it musician, and I'm on the train, and one of them asked, "Hey man, can you play the guitar?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Do you know any CCR?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Give us some CCR." These guys love CCR, so I gave him this. Quite scared I was, to be honest. I see a bad moon rising, and so forth. Gave him that song, and then I gave him the Midnight Special. Let the Midnight Special shine a light on me. And they also asked me to play some Jimmy Buffett. Do you know Jimmy Buffett? I sure do appreciate the fact you're sitting there. Your voices sound so wonderful, but your face don't look too clear. So Balmy, bring a pitcher, honey, one more round of brew. Why don't we get drunk and screw? Oh, why don't we get drunk and screw? Yeah, I just bought a waterbed, I filled it up for me and you. They say you're a snot queen, honey, I don't think that's true. So why don't we get drunk and screw? They love Jimmy Buffett. Margaritaville was another song that he did. He was a pirate, man. He was cool. So they loved the music, and I'm here, and these guys seem so cool and so laid back. We have so much fun, and they just seem chill, and I have got no idea the shit that they've just been doing. I got no idea. I didn't see this coming. This black guy pulls out some Polaroids and says, "Hey man, look at that." I said, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Is that real?" He goes, "Yeah man, he'd been raping a woman in the village." These guys got this guy that had been raping a woman in the village, and they towed him behind their Humvee until all the skin and flesh had come off his body. His buttocks were completely gone, and he was still alive, and these were Polaroid photos, and I just felt sick. And I said, "You did that to somebody?" He goes, "Yeah, man." And then they showed me other photos of hideous, I'm not going to talk about it, hideous war crimes that they committed. And it just shook me. And I looked at these guys all different, and I thought, I'm in this carriage, and I'm entertaining these fucking animals. I mean, I can understand war, but maiming and hurting people, taking justice into your own hand, not letting God be the judge, or, I don't know, I just felt, I went down. I went really down. I was like trying to keep it up, but after seeing those photos, it shocked me. And I still had dreams for a long time afterwards of the images. There was a guy that they burnt alive, and there was, just horrible stuff, which is not nice to remember. But that's part of my travels, and I can clearly remember this guy that they towed him around the village behind a Humvee. One of his legs eventually come off. It was just fucking horrible. Just fucking horrible, yeah. And eventually he's just a corpse, and his whole back's, it's just people, man, human beings. Anyway, after that experience, I get to St. Ingbert, city, small town, St. Ingbert, the cobblestones of the Altstadt, and that's the old city. And when I get there, it says a Dwyer's Irish pub above it, and there's noise coming out. And it's a Friday night, and I get there, and my friend Stuart is playing. He's already set up. I've got a bit late as I come in. Now, the barman, Paddy, and his girlfriend's name was Anya, and she had a girlfriend called Daniela. And Daniela and Anya were both stewardess with Lufthansa. That's what they did. They were stewardesses. And both strikingly beautiful women. Strikingly beautiful. Now, at this stage of my life, I have had girlfriends, been with women, but I've never ever had my heart broken. That camera's still not dead straight. I've got to get it dead straight. It's just bugging me a little bit. Is that better? That's better. Yeah, that's better. I've never ever had my heart broken. I don't know what it is. I've broken probably a few hearts, but I don't think I've ever had my heart... No, I've never had my heart broken. I've never really been in love. And you men that have been in love, that have really been in love, you know what the hell I'm talking about, right? It gets you by the balls, and suddenly you become just orientated towards that woman, and there's no other woman you ever want to look at again. That's what being in love is. It's sort of like your ego falls into that person. You completely and it's not that healthy either, because it's like, it just absorbs your whole mind. It's not that healthy at all. I don't think it is. So anyway, Daniela looked at me and I looked at her, and that night I got up and played a few songs. I played the harmonica because I didn't have a guitar with me. I left it somewhere, I don't know where, maybe back at the place I was staying, don't remember. It's 1991. Stuart's playing, and there's this group of people, and they call themselves the Muppets. They're a whole bunch of Germans, and they're really neat people. There's Frank, there's Claudia. I remember all of them, so there's so many people that... Thomas, all these cool guys, Andrea. I can still remember their faces like it was yesterday. All these people in the front there. And Stuart said to me, it felt like to him that after years of being on a planet that wasn't where he meant to be, he'd come to this planet, this place that was a world where he meant to be. And as a musician, that's exactly what it felt like. It felt to me like I'd suddenly landed in home. I got up on the stage and started playing the harmonica, and people just loved it. It wasn't like playing in the streets, anything like playing in the streets. Everybody was clapping, and right up front, stage, everyone was laughing, the buzz was just happening. We were getting everybody dancing and singing, but more singing than you have in New Zealand. In New Zealand, people sit and watch. They might dance a bit, but the audience in Germany here, they were singing song for song, and we'd give them the chorus to sing. So if we were doing Country Roads, we'd give them the chorus, and they'd be all singing, "Country roads, take me home," and they're German voices, and we'd just be sitting back playing. And they'd be doing all the work. Take a break, go down with the cup, go around the audience, and they'd put some money in there. And they're putting in big tips. It was nothing for a person to put 20 Deutschmark in your cup. That's like 20 New Zealand dollars. And in 1991, $20 is like $40 a day. And when you've got like 200 or 300 people in a pub, do the maths. And the bar pays you $250. So you get that, and then you get all these tips, which would sometimes be like 5 times what the bar gave you. So we're playing this gig, and I'm looking at this girl, Daniela. That night, at the end of a fantastic show, making lots of friends, I went upstairs to the musician's room where I stayed, because they have a room upstairs where all the musicians stay. Every pub has a musician's room, and these rooms aren't that flash, but there's a place where you can put your sleeping bag down. Some of them don't even have windows. You just got a wee room you go to sleep in. But it's a room, it's a roof over your head, and it's free. So why do you complain? You don't. So I'm upstairs, and there was somebody else upstairs, I can't remember. And Danny, I'm going to call her Danny because that was her nickname, she comes up, and like we've been in there, and she's dancing around doing stuff on that, and I'm in my sleeping bag, and she comes in. I'm not going to tell you what happened. You guys know what happened. You don't need to know all that. But the next morning, we were sitting in the straws outside, smoking a cigarette, just looking at each other's eyes, and I was sick with love. I was lovesick. I just gone, I'd never had that before. I was looking at this girl's eyes. I will include a photo as I go along with these videos somewhere. I think I'll show you who she was, but my heart was just like... My brain was out the window, and suddenly I met this woman, and my whole world was... I was about to be rocked. I'd never ever experienced what it is to really be in love with a woman. And she was strikingly beautiful. Well, I played a few gigs, and then she lived in Frankfurt. So I'd go back from St. Ingbert, where I was for a short time, and go and see her back and forward. And for the next 2.5 years... her and I, because she was with Lufthansa, we'd travel around the world because she got these cheap-ass tickets, and she nominated me as her other half, and I could fly to Bangkok or anywhere. So a whole lot of stories could potentially come out of that. But right now I want to focus just on Germany. While she was back up in Frankfurt and doing her job, I started playing music with Stuart. And it became really, really an adventure in itself. But my name was about to change. My name is Damon John Ward, but everybody knows me as Clay because of my other channel, Clay Tall Stories, and that's a nickname Clay I've always had. But my name was about to change again, and this is how I got the name. Now, I have told the story many times, so for those of you that know the story, you might want to fast forward it. But those of you that don't, get ready for a banger of a story because it's funny. So there was a guy called Niall, a guy called Biddy, and a guy called Seamus. They're all Irish, although Seamus I think is a Scottish name. And we're walking down Rosenstrasse in Saarbrücken, the town of Saarbrücken, which is not far from St. Ingbert. And we're walking down that street there, and we're all totally intoxicated, off our nuts. We're right off our rockers. And it's 5 a.m. in the morning, and we're trying to find a place we can buy some food. Normally the bakery opens up. So we're walking down there really, really whacked. I look up, and I notice when I look up the window, 3 stories up, there's this woman brushing her long blonde hair. She's brushing her long blonde hair in the window. And I said to Biddy, mate, look at that there. He goes, fucking hell, man, I'd eat chips out of her knickers. She's gorgeous. And I said, yeah. Biddy says, I reckon, man, I could marry her. And I said, listen, Brate, she's out of your league. Niall's looking up. We're just about falling over looking up. The woman comes over the window and she goes, hello. She's brushing her hair and she's got her boobs. We can't see the puppy's nose because the window's a bit too high, but she's got no top on. She goes, hello. And Biddy goes, I fucking love you. And she says in German, I won't do it in German because most of you don't speak German. She says, if you can come up here, you can have me. We're like, right. Now I've got a woman I'm in love with, so I've got no real desire to go chasing it, but the boys and I are all drunk, and hey, so Biddy says, I'm fucking coming. And he doesn't get very far. He goes up the side and falls back on his back. He's on the ground, drunk, rolling around. Niall has a crack at it, and he tears the drain, part of the drain pipe off because he's quite a big guy, breaks that off. And Seamus gets up to the first story, and ledge, and then he can't back down. And he's got to jump down, so we've got to try and help him down. And we're like, come on, bro. None of us are going to catch him. He's too high. And he's stuck there for ages and ages. Then he gets down and he hangs off his fingertips and then drops about a metre and rolls on the ground. And nothing happens. And then they all look at me. And I decide, I'm going to have a crack at this. Now, there's a trellis that it was stupid to even attempt to go up the trellis because the trellis is only that thin. It's wood. And it's up the side of the building. But I was drunk enough to give it a crack. So I was going up the trellis to get to this and the trellis goes right to the very top. It's like a 5-story building. You're going to break your neck if you fall 3 stories. And I'm going up this trellis, and when I get up to the trellis on the side, I get up so far, and I look down, and I go, oh, shit. Oh, man, that's very dangerous. I'm realising now I've got to commit to getting to her room because I can't get down. So I keep on going up, and how it never broke. Bits were breaking, but how it never broke. And I'm going up this trellis, and I can remember Biddy saying, fuck, would you look at that, man? He goes up the wall like a little spider. He's a little spider. And Seamus going, yeah, he's a fucking spider. So I'm going up this wall and I get to her balcony. And when I get to her balcony, she's shocked. She didn't think I was going to come up. I get inside her room. I actually jump up the balcony, get inside her room, and I'm looking at her. And then I'm looking around the room in this room here, and she's got a towel she's holding like this here. And then I see beside her bed a big picture of a man with a big black beard and a spear gun with a fish on it. And I'm like, fuck, who's that? And then the door opens and here's this big black guy, he's same kind of photo, just there. And he's right in the doorway, and the only way I can get out of this building is to go through the doorways he's in. So he goes something in German, what the fuck, but in German, and really, really like angry face. And I'm like, I can't go out the window, so I just run straight at him, and he sort of ducks out of the way. I hit the door as I go through, down the staircase, first floor, second floor, third floor, third floor, second floor, first floor, on the ground floor, back down to the bottom. And we're like, he's not running after us, but I'm packing shit, man. And I'm down there drunk, looking back up at there. That just happened just then. And from then on, I got called Spider. That's how the name Spider stuck. So that's how I got the name Spider. Now, Stuart, he grew up on rock and roll. He grew up on listening to stuff like the Beatles, and what was his favourite one was that Chuck Berry. He used to do a lot of Chuck Berry, but he also did a lot of Bee Gees and Marvin Gaye and that sort of music, which was all foreign music to me because I'd grown up on blues and country. And so we got together. And our thing was, I was not playing the guitar then. I put the guitar back and I was just playing the harmonica and singing. And I would sit on his shoulders, he'd play guitar, and I'd be playing harmonica because he was a strong unit. Now Stuart, he still plays on that very same circuit today. He's 65 years of age, I think, or 64, maybe 63. He's 3 years older than me, 63. He still plays on the circuit today, and I still have regular contact with him. This is 30 years later. He's 33 years later. He still plays on that circuit, and he still keeps good health. And I reckon he was the only musician that used to carry around with him bags of vegetables. He used to eat carrots and parsnips and Brussels sprouts and all the shit we didn't eat. He used to live off that stuff. He'd eat meat too, but that's all he'd eat. And he always used to say to me, "You've got to eat your vegetables, bro." And damn, he was right. Vegetables and fruit was what he lived off. Really, really cool guy. So we started doing these gigs. Now, I'm going to show you in the next video, I'm going to show you guys my itinerary. I didn't bring it in today, but I'm going to bring it into the studio and show you just exactly where we went and what we did. And I'm going to tell you some of the mad stuff we got up to. Thanks a lot for following these throwback stories. And a lot of you are making these stories right to the very end, which is incredible because these days people have a very short attention span because of apps like TikTok and Instagram where everybody's scrolling for instant gratification. So those of you that are following to the end, well done. You're in a minority of people that can still concentrate and follow a storyline. Go steady. If you know a brother who's struggling with anything, this might lighten up his load. Share it with him. And I'll see you in the next Bro Check Club video. See you later.